Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to go deeper into geomancy, and we're going to look at Cornelius Agrippa and what he had to say about the Shem angels. So once again, in these videos, we're going to go over the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh and the classical writings. So yesterday, if you were with me, we went over Johann Reuchlin and his De Arte Kabbalistica. This was a text published in 1517. Okay, De Arte Kabbalistica. Today, we're going to be looking at what was written about the 72 Shem angels, or the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh, by Cornelius Agrippa. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. He wrote the 3 books of occult philosophy, which was written at the beginning of the 16th century and passed around in manuscript form until Book 1 was published in 1531, and then all 3 books were published in 1533. So the 3 books of occult philosophy. Again, there are many things that we could say about the 72 Shem angels, but I like to look at what is the historical lore of these angels. What is the historical lore? What are the Renaissance sources? Okay, what are the Renaissance sources on these angels? So, looks like we've got some viewers here. Hello, how are you doing today? Welcome. Running a little bit later today. But I think maybe it's better that I don't put like a specific time, but just have do it every morning, because there's so many factors that are not easy, things happen. But each morning, at least, I'm going to put a show. I don't know, I'm going to keep trying to keep the same schedule. It's just sometimes it's not exact. But every day there will definitely be a new episode, Monday through Friday. That's what I'm working on. But Cornelius Agrippa. So again, there are many things you could say about the 72 Shem angels, but what does the classical literature actually say? Okay? What is the historical lore of the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh? Now, if you don't have a copy of Agrippa, and then also we're going to go into geomancy. Okay? We're going to go into geomancy. And if you've been following these episodes, each day, you, the viewer, will draw a geomantic figure, okay? So once again, there may be many of you that have a lot of experience doing geomancy, so maybe that doesn't apply to you. But if you've never done geomancy before, or you're new to geomancy, then I welcome you. I will walk you through the steps of tracing your own geomantic figure. Okay, you're going to draw your own geomantic figure, and yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do it together. So if you've never done geomancy before, by the end of this video, you will be a geomancer. You will have done geomancy. It's a very ancient, Renaissance, medieval, and really before that, form of divination. Once again, geo means earth. Geomancy is earth divination, and it's also a way to communicate with planetary spirits and intelligences. So once again, this is bringing the magic of Cornelius Agrippa to life. Because Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy, it talks about the planetary spirits, the planetary intelligences, it gives all of this for the 7 ancient sacred planets. So why not put that to work? It's okay for Agrippa to sit up on the dustbin or sit in the library. You just bring it out every now and then. But how often do you do magic with it? Well, geomancy is a way that you could actually communicate. You don't have to have an elaborate magic circle and all this equipment and stuff. Geomancy is a way that you can do a quick question to the planetary intelligences and get a response. Okay, and this is definitely something that was done in the Renaissance. And it's interesting because there are the 3 books of occult philosophy, but there's also the quote-unquote 4th book. The 4th book. Often it is claimed that this was not written by Agrippa. Okay, it was not written. Many people think that this was written by someone else and had Agrippa's name tacked on. So it's often referred to as pseudo-Agrippa. Whether Agrippa wrote the book or not, the fourth book definitely draws on the three books of occult philosophy. Honestly, the fourth book is my favorite. The fourth book is actually my favorite. Whether it was written by Agrippa or not, it takes all of the knowledge from the three books of occult philosophy and it tries to make it more into like a practical manual. Okay, so the fourth book, actually printed with the fourth book of occult philosophy, was a book on geomancy. Okay, on geomancy. So geomancy is actually a very ancient form of divination, but it is an earth divination, and it could be a way to communicate with the anima mundi. Okay, the soul of the world. You can look at it as a communication with the anima mundi, the world soul. So where does the information come from in geomancy? Okay, where do we get the information? From kind of a modern magic perspective, what you hear a lot in modern magic, you would say, well, in geomancy, there are two different ways. There's the internal and the external. One could say that geomancy is a way to communicate with your own higher self. Now, again, I'm talking about modern magic, a more modern perspective on this. Many people interpret it in the community as communication with your own higher self. Okay, your own higher self that has a deeper wisdom, or your unconscious from a purely, like, just pure psychological approach. You're communicating with your unconscious. And then there is the attitude that you're communicating with spirits, okay? So this is the twofold division of the modern magic view. You're communicating with spirits or you're talking to your own higher self, okay? And you could have either approach. More of a classical view, and there are some classical writings that talk about this. They're in the more classical view. I don't remember the names. I'll have to look at it. But they're in the classical view. There is the view that's similar. It's similar that one is either speaking with spirits, or so it is in the classical model. It could be used to communicate with planetary intelligences and spirits. For example, on a love matter, you may ask the question to the planetary intelligence of Venus, Hagiel. Or for a question to do with commerce or communication or education, you may ask a planetary spirit of Mercury, Tyriel. Or for a job, asking about a job opportunity, you may ask Yophiel, the planetary intelligence of Jupiter. So these are just examples. So it could be used to query, ask a question of a planetary intelligence or spirit. However, it could also be interpreted as a communication with the anima mundi. The anima mundi is the world soul. Okay, the world soul. This is a very important concept in Renaissance occultism. The world soul. And this is kind of a new concept to a lot of us moderns. Like a lot of people in modern magic, from a modern New Age perspective, they may be familiar with the idea of cosmic mind or universal mind, okay? But in classical magic, which Agrippa even talks about the world soul, the anima mundi or world soul is something from the classical world, okay? You don't see any references to the cosmic mind hardly in these old texts. Now you do see some stuff like nous in the Hermetic literature, but in the Renaissance it was all about the anima mundi, the world soul, and there's also like a Platonic, like getting into like Plato, okay, getting into like Plato, classical like Platonic, Hermetic. Like you're getting into like late antiquity, okay? Before the Middle Ages, before the Renaissance ever happened, we're dealing with like ancient knowledge, the world soul or anima mundi, okay? So the universe was seen as a living being, and there was this idea of a world soul. In fact, when you're working with talismans or communicating with different parts of the cosmos, spirits of the cosmos, it's all said to be like things within the world soul. You're dealing with the world soul. Everything is connected. Okay, we're all part of a larger whole. So this is kind of a Renaissance classical occultism, this idea of the world soul. I have made other videos on this. Okay, particularly my videos on like Renaissance magic and the Renaissance worldview. I made videos on this on the Renaissance worldview. It's not on my Facebook, but it's on my YouTube. The Renaissance worldview or model of the world. I've made videos on. I highly recommend. Sorry, I'm doing something with my camera. I highly recommend that people check that out if you haven't yet. If you want to know more about the world soul. But we need to try to stay focused on today's theme. Geomancy. From a modern perspective, you could say you're talking to spirits in a geomantic reading. You're getting information from external spirits, or you're talking to your own higher self. And there are some modern magicians that psychologize magic and say that all of it's internal, that it's, you know. And then from a classical magic perspective, you could be communicating with spirits or talking to the world soul. So if you're not calling on a particular spirit when you do your geomantic reading, then from a classical magic perspective, you're getting the information from the world soul, the anima mundi. You're reading the world soul, the anima mundi. So let's see here. We have do we have any comments? No, just people tuning in. So where was I here? So yeah, geomancy. We're going to go deeper into geomancy. And I think people listening to these talks, if people want to listen, maybe, each day, they'll go a little bit deeper into a geomantic journey. And it is an honor if I'm able to help someone to do that or go on a geomantic journey with you. And also today we're talking about the Shem angels. So every day we're going to go a little bit deeper. Okay, because there needs to be progress. If you're listening to something, you should be achieving something, accomplishing something. So hopefully by watching these videos, we're going to learn a lot more about the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh from a classical magic perspective. Okay, we're looking again at the Renaissance sources. Yesterday we read together Johann Reuchlin's De Arte Kabbalistica. I read about the Shem angels from this text from the 16th century. It was written, published in 1517. Today we're looking at Agrippa. So today and by the way, I'll give links, if you're interested in buying. If you don't have a copy of the 3 Books of Occult Philosophy, then you can purchase that. I try to make my videos where everyone can get something out of it. Many of you already have that text, obviously. It's a classic, the 3 Books of Occult. Many of you already have that book. For those of you, but however, I try to make my videos accessible to everyone. Maybe you don't have that book, and I highly recommend it. If you don't have a copy of the 3 Books of Occult Philosophy, then I'm going to share a link to what I recommend. And then also, if those of you that are interested in a good book on geomancy, I'll give a link to that as well. So for those of you that want to buy some books, and it would be helpful, to have some books to go along with these videos. So here we go here. Now, where was I? So today, and thank you everyone for stopping in. Today we are going to be reading Cornelius Agrippa. So once again, I will leave a link after this video. I will leave a link to this book if you don't already have a copy, to what I recommend, good copy of Cornelius Agrippa's 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. And then also, I'll give a link to a good book on geomancy. So, and if you have a copy, then I welcome you to bring it out now we're going to go to Book 3, Chapter 25. So this is kind of like a class, you know, you got books that go with it. If you have a copy of the 3 Books of Occult Philosophy, I ask, please turn your textbooks, you know, please go to Book 3, Chapter 25. Okay, we're going to Agrippa's 3 Books of Occult Philosophy, Book 3, Chapter 25, if you have a copy. If you don't have a copy, I highly recommend this book. And anyway, if you just want to listen, you can do that as well. Let's see here. Lonnie says, so glad I've caught your live. Thank you, Taliesin. Thank you. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today, again, we're looking at the 72 Shem angels, or angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh in the classical literature. Yesterday we read De Arte Kabbalistica, for those of you that tuned in, and that video is still available, which was published in 1517. Today we're looking at the Shem angels, the 72 Shem angels, from Cornelius Agrippa, his 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. So again, there are lots of things that we could say about the Shem angels, and honestly, there's a lot of stuff that people are just making up about the Shem angels, which is fine, but let's try to understand the historical lore. What is the historical lore of these angels? Yes, Agrippa. Once again, I'll give a link for those of you that don't have a copy yet. I highly recommend y'all getting a copy. For those of you that have the book, we're on Agrippa's 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. We're on Book 3, Chapter 25. Book 3, Chapter 25. Okay. How the Hebrew Mekubals drew forth the sacred names of angels out of the sacred writ, and of the 72 angels which bear the name of God, with the tables of Zeruf and the commutations of letters and numbers. So again, we're reading Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa's 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. This is a very important work published in the 16th century. Okay, very important book. This is often referred to jokingly as the Bible of Western occultism. Not that we have a holy book like a Bible. It's a joke, okay? It's metaphorical. Just in the sense that this book is so important, so centrally important. To understand Western esotericism, you're missing a big chunk of your education to not have this book. This book is very important to have in your library. The 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. It's just one of those foundational, fundamental texts. Okay. So, here we are. So, again, this was written in the 16th century. So, my English may be a little antiquated. A little bit antiquated, my English. Okay? This was written, like, this is older than Shakespeare, you know? Because this was written at the beginning, the first part of the 1500s, okay? This is older than William Shakespeare, okay? Shakespeare might have had a copy of the 3 books. I doubt it. You know, I don't know. Did he? But it is older than Shakespeare, so pardon the English here. Okay, here we are. All right, we're on Book 3. We're on Agrippa, Book 3, Chapter 25. How the Hebrew Mekubals drew forth the sacred names of angels out of the sacred writ, and of the 72 angels which bear the name of God. So clearly Agrippa is talking about how these angels bear the name of God. That's kind of central, because these are Shem angels. They're angels of the name. Again, the word Shem in Hebrew means name. So Shem angel literally means name angel, or angel of the name. So, of the 72 angels which bear the name of God, with the tables of Zeruf and the commutations of letters and numbers. And there it's talking about, like, how to do, like, Kabbalistic codes and stuff, and, like, extrapolate stuff from the Torah using Kabbalistic means, which is actually pretty cool. So, here we go. All right. There are, and now I'm reading from the book, you can read with me if you have a copy. Again, this is 3 Books of Occult Philosophy. I highly recommend this book. We're on Book 3, chapter 25. There are also other sacred names of good and evil spirits, deputed to each offices, of much greater efficacy than the former, which the Hebrew Mekubals drew forth out of sacred writ, according to that art which they teach concerning them, as also concerning names of God are drawn forth out of certain places. So he's talking about how, like, names of spirits, good and evil, and also different divine names could be extracted from the Hebrew letters of the Torah. Okay? So this is something that needs to be addressed. Actually, no, let's just continue. So, it's talking about how divine names and also the names of spirits and angels and demons, and like, it's how the names of good and evil spirits and also divine names are extracted from the Torah using the Hebrew letters and things like that. So in the Jewish Kabbalah, like, there's a lot of work like drawing forth certain divine names and drawing stuff forth from the Torah or the literature. And Agrippa's talking about how using this type of technique, you can draw the names of spirits and things, okay, and divine names. And, Agrippa was not just read by Jewish people. Agrippa was read by all kinds of people, okay? And it's interesting that Reuchlin, this was brought up on Facebook yesterday or this morning by a good friend of mine, that Reuchlin's De Arte Kabbalistica is not really Jewish per se because there's like Christian influences in there. And he's absolutely right. Like, De Arte Kabbalistica was written by Johann Reuchlin, which was behind a lot of like bringing like Jewish Kabbalah to the open, like to Gentiles and to Christians started reading it. So this is the beginning of not just Jews practicing the Kabbalah, but everyone practicing the Kabbalah. That was starting to happen in the 1500s and late 1400s, part of the Renaissance. Like, people were like Pico della Mirandola. Non-Jews were starting to get into the Kabbalah, okay? And, of course, later on with the Golden Dawn and with the Lema and things like that, you had more of like a completely detached, away from Christianity, more of a Hermetic Kabbalah. A Hermetic Kabbalah that may include like Egyptian or Greek or pagan or whatever elements, the Hermetic Kabbalah, okay? But anyways, this was the beginning of it. So here in Agrippa, you have Kabbalistic methods, but it's largely not a Jewish audience. But anyways, so there are also other sacred names of good and evil spirits deputed to each offices, of much greater efficacy than the former, which the Hebrew Mekubals drew forth out of sacred writ, according to that art which they teach concerning them, as also certain names of God are drawn forth out of certain places. The general rule of these is that wheresoever anything of divine essence is expressed in the Scripture, from that place the name of God may rightly be gathered. So any place that like talks about the divine essence, you can look at the Hebrew and draw forth a divine name that expresses that, okay? Okay. All right. The general rule of these is that wheresoever anything of divine essence is expressed in the Scripture, from that place the name of God may rightly be gathered. But in what place soever in the Scripture the name of God is found expressed, there mark what office lies under that name. So if there's a divine name given, look at what's going on in the story. What is around it? And that'll kind of give you a clue as to the divine power expressed by the divine name. So when God says, my name is El Shaddai, or Yah, whenever a divine name is expressed, look at what's around that text to see kind of the qualities, is what he's saying. Wheresoever, therefore, the Scripture speaks of the office or work of any spirit, good or bad, So I'm going to repeat that again. Now it's talking about getting names as spirits from the Torah. Okay. Wheresoever, therefore, the scripture speaks of the office or work of any spirit, good or bad, from thence the name of that spirit, whether good or bad, may be gathered. This unalterable rule being observed, that of good spirits we receive the names of good spirits, of evil the names of evil. And let us not confound black with white, nor day with night, nor light with darkness, which by these verses, as by an example, is manifest. Let them be as dust before the face of the wind, and let the angel of the Lord scatter them. Let their ways be darkness and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord pursue them. Okay. And then it's got a bunch of Hebrew here in the text. Yehu, Kemetz, Lefne, Ruach. I'm not very good at Mikey. It's been many years since I've been in a shul. Reading from a siddur or something. A siddur, okay? So anyways, I'm going to continue here. In the 35th Psalm, so it's the 35th Psalm, and let the angel of the Lord pursue them, okay? It says here in the 35th Psalm with the Hebrews, so it's quoting the 35th Psalm, okay. Let them be as dust before the face of the wind, and let the angel of the Lord scatter them. Let their ways be darkness and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord pursue them. In the 35th Psalm with the Hebrews, 35, Psalm 35, but with us, the 34, talking about going from the Vulgate, okay, out of which the names of those angels are drawn. Midael, okay, showing how the names of these angels is taken from the Hebrew of this psalm. Okay. Now it's interesting, not to digress too much, but the names of the 72 angels of the Shem, ha-mephoresh, if you look at the associated psalm verse, you could see that the letters of the name of the Shem angel have to occur around a tetragrammaton. Normally, that is the rule. So the psalm verse attributions to the 72 angels is not random. Okay, it's not sporadic. The 72 psalm verses associated with the 72 Shem angels, usually those three Hebrew letters are connected with the tetragram in the Hebrew of the Psalms, the Tehillim. Okay, but anyways, back to this. In the 35th Psalm with the Hebrews, but with us the 34th, out of which the names of those angels are drawn, Midael and Mirael, of the order of warriors. So out of that verse, thou shalt set over him the wicked, and Satan shall stand at his right hand, out of the Psalm 109 with the Hebrews, but with the Latins 108. And then it gives another Hebrew text. Is extracted the name of the evil spirit, She, which signifies a spirit that is a work of engines. Interesting. So that's a demon, according to Agrippa. There is a certain text in Exodus contained in 3 verses. Now here it's talking about what I was talking about yesterday from Reuchlin. Reuchlin talked about how the 72 Shem angels come from these 3 verses in Hebrew of Exodus. These 3 verses each have 72 letters. And from these 3 Hebrew verses, that's where you get the 72-fold name of God, and from that, the 72 Shem angels. So yesterday, we looked at Johann Reuchlin and his De Arte Kabbalistica. So in 1517, Reuchlin wrote about how the 72 Shem angels come from 3 verses in the book of Exodus, or Shemot. Exodus chapter 14, verses 19, 20, and 21. Each of these 3 verses in Hebrew have 72 letters. And by putting these 3 verses on top of each other, are in 72 columns from these 3 Bible verses in Hebrew, you get the 72-fold name of God and the 72 angels. So that's what Agrippa is talking about. So both Agrippa and Reuchlin agree that the 72 angels, they come from Exodus 14, verses 19 through 21. And again, I highly recommend that people read these 3 verses. If you plan to work with the 72 Shem angels, go read Exodus 14, verses 19 through 21. I might add that. I might add the that passage for those that are interested. Go read the Bible, y'all. Go read these 3 verses, which is where you get the 72 Shem angel names, okay? So here we go. There is a certain text in Exodus. I'm reading Agrippa again. There is a certain text in Exodus contained in 3 verses. That's what I'm talking about. Whereof every one is writ with 72 letters. Yep, all 3 of these Bible verses are in 72 letters in Hebrew. Beginning thus, the first Vayisa, the second Vayabo, the third Vayot, which are extended into one line. That is, the first and third from, well, it's from right to left, actually. But the middle line in contrary order, beginning from, it's actually right to left, is terminated on the left hand. Then each of these 3 letters, being subordinate the one to the other, make one name, which are 72 names, which the Hebrews call Shem ha-mephoresh, which Shem ha-mephoresh, actually. To which, if the divine name El or Yah be added, they produce 72 trisyllable names of angels, whereof everyone carries the great name of God, as it is written, My angel shall go before thee, observe him, for my name is in him. So, what Agrippa just said is that if you go to the book of Exodus, the Hebrew name of the book of Exodus is Shemot. So if you hear me saying Shemot, I'm just using the Hebrew name for the same Bible book, Exodus or Shemot. Okay, you go to Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 21. Verse 19 has 72 letters in Hebrew. Put that Bible verse right to left. The second verse, verse 20, put left to right. And then the third verse, put right to left. So you have these 3 Bible verses on top of one another. Each one is 72 letters, and you get 72 columns. From these 72 columns, you get the 72-fold name of God. Each name of God has 3 letters. Okay, it's extracted from these 3 Bible verses in Hebrew. Each one has 72 letters. You get the 72 names of God. By adding El or Yah, you get the names of the 72 Shem angels, or the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh. Again, Shem means name in Hebrew, so Shem angel means angel of the name, and Shem ha-mephoresh just means the explicit name, the expounded name, which refers to the 72-fold name of God, or 72 names of God, okay? So Shem angel always refers the angel to this divine name that comes from Exodus 14, chapters 19 through 21. So, back to Agrippa. Again, we're going to the classical sources. What is the historical lore of the Shem angels according to Agrippa and Reuchlin? We're going to the classical 16th century sources on the Shem angels. This stuff is older than William Shakespeare. Okay, we're going to like these old books on the Shem angels, is what they say. And these are those that are set over the 72 celestial quinaries. So Agrippa here, Agrippa says that these are associated with the 72 quinaries, or 5 degrees each of the zodiac. So this is important. Right here, Cornelius Agrippa, in his 3 books of occult philosophy, book 3, chapter 25, Agrippa says that the 72 Shem angels are set over the 72 quinaries of the zodiac. That is 5 degrees each of the zodiac, okay? So Agrippa says that each of the 72 Shem angels governs 5 degrees of the zodiac. Agrippa says that. And these are those that are set over the 72 celestial quinaries, and so many nations and tongues, and joints of man's body, and cooperate with the 72 seniors of the synagogue, and so many disciples of Christ. And their names, according to the extraction which the Kabbalists make, are manifest in this following table, according to one manner which we have spoken of. And it gives a list of the 72 Shem angel names, okay? So Agrippa here says that these are the 72 Shem angels, okay? Agrippa lists their names. He gives a table. He shows the Shem angel names. Agrippa says that these 72 Shem angel names come from Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 21. And Agrippa says that these angels are each associated with 5 degrees of the zodiac. Okay? This is all according to Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa and his 3 books of occult philosophy. Now, now there are many other ways. Wait. No, I messed up. Hold on. What on earth just happened with my phone? Hold on a second. Here we go. Now, there are many other manners or ways of making Shem ha-mephoresh out of those verses, as when all 3 are in a right order, written one after the other from right to left, besides those which are extracted by the tables of Zeruf and the tables of commutations of which we made mention above. And because these tables serve for all names, as well divine as angelical, we shall therefore subjoin them in this chapter. And now he's talking about like other ways that you can like extract names out of scripture. So we have here the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh. So that is Cornelius Agrippa. Okay, so the earliest sources from the 16th century that we have on the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh, as we've seen from these readings, the earliest sources from the 16th century, what do they say about the angels? There's 72 of them. They come from Exodus, the names literally come from the Hebrew, from Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 21, with the parting of the sea, and they are associated with 5 degrees each of the zodiac. Okay, so this is according to Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. So, that is our reading for today. Once again, Rachel says attributes. So the attributes are something else. The attributes of the angels are given in Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, which would come a century later, where we see the attributes. But that's another topic. I plan to go into that too. We're going to delve into Athanasius Kircher. It's all in Latin, but we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you the text, and I'm going to show you that's coming up. I'm going to show you how you could see the Psalm verse, and I'm going to show you how you can use Athanasius Kircher, the original 17th century text, to learn about the Shem angels. Okay, you don't have to know Latin to do this. I'm going to show all of you, and you're all going to have a copy of Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus. I see I've got some viewers here. I'm going to speak Spanish just a second. I'm going to speak Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Voy a hacer más videos, más contenido en español. De hecho, durante los fines de semana, planeo hacer más videos en español, ¿ok? Pero en las mañanas, estos videos son en inglés. Okay, los lunes hasta los viernes en inglés durante las mañanas, pero el fin de semana planeo de hacer un video en español y puede ser que voy a seguir así, haciendo nuevos videos en español los fines de semana. Okay, pero voy a seguir en inglés para este video. Okay, so, anyways, where was I? Because I do speak Spanish, by the way. and I also have a Spanish-speaking audience. I taught myself Spanish because I wanted to talk about the occult in Spanish. So I learned Spanish. I taught myself the language. On the weekends, I plan to do some videos in Spanish. Okay. So just a heads up for those viewers that only speak English, I will be doing some Spanish speaking videos as well. So where was I? So the 72 angels of the Shem ha-mephoresh, according to Agrippa, are assigned to the 5 degrees of the zodiac each, and are associated with Exodus 14 verses 19 through 21, and all of that. Okay. So in an upcoming video, you're going to end up with a copy in Latin. Are you ready for some Latin, y'all? If you keep watching my videos, it's just going to happen. All right. My next video, Monday. Today's Friday, right? I know everyone's going to be sad to not have a video for me I'm going to get a little break though, have a little, put up my hat for a couple days. Monday, you're going to have some Latin in your hands, okay? We're going to put some Latin in them hands on Monday. I hope y'all are ready for it. We're going to be going into some Oedipus Egyptiacus on Monday. Rachel says Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. I'm not Jewish, by the way. You know, it's interesting. For those of you that are interested in my past, I spent 3 years in a synagogue. I was in my 20s. I was actually making videos at the time. If you look back at some of my videos in my 20s, some of them I had a yarmulke. Okay, I had a kippah. I'm not Jewish, by the way. I am not. Now, here's the thing. I incorrectly, for years, I incorrectly thought I was Jewish. I incorrectly thought I was Jewish for years because my maternal grandmother, my grandmother's, my mom's mom, her last name was Winberg. I thought Winberg, well, it's a Jewish name and all this other stuff, but no. I did a DNA test, but it may have just been one parent. Actually, my DNA test may have just been one parent. I don't know. It doesn't look like I'm Jewish, But I did spend 3 years in a synagogue, and it was a very interesting experience. I spent 3 years at a conservative synagogue, the Ahavath Hakim Synagogue here in Tyler, Texas. The Ahavath Hakim Synagogue. I went there for 3 years. I know the rabbi, and I used to go. But that's how I got to be good at like Hebrew. I actually got to be pretty good at it. Because I learned in my early 20s in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, I learned the Hebrew alphabet, actually. I learned the Hebrew alphabet in my Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn material. I was like 21. And then I forgot how old I was. I was like 26 or something. I don't remember how old. But I actually went to a synagogue for about 3 years and studied Judaism. And it was a pretty interesting experience, So I'm not Jewish, but I'm familiar, a little bit. It's helped me to grow, though, because it helps with my studies. I kind of have a little bit of an understanding. But I am not Jewish, but yes, Shabbat Shalom, or as we used to say in the shul I used to attend, Good Shabbos. We had a lot of Ashkenazim in that shul. But I may have some Jewish. I might. I don't think so, though, because my DNA test I did a few years ago showed not. So I was like, well, damn, I thought I was Jewish. But anyways, where was I'm going all over the place. Monday, we're going to have some Latin in y'all's hands. We're going to be getting into some Athanasius Kircher. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the next geomantic figure. Today's geomantic figure is Fortuna Major. Fortuna Major means greater fortune. Greater fortune. Fortuna Major means greater fortune, and it's associated with the Sun and Leo. This is largely considered to be the luckiest geomantic figure out of all of them. This is the luckiest figure. Anytime you get this, it's like a big yes to whatever you're asking about. Everybody wants to get Fortuna Major. This is like the best figure you could draw in any question, okay? This is like the wish card in tarot, okay? This is it's legit, okay? So the Fortuna Major, okay? This is the Sun and Leo, and we're going to break down this figure here. So once again, so far in these videos, we're looking at classical literature from the 16th century about the Shem angels, and then we talk a little bit about geomancy. Geomancy, again, we're dealing with classical magic, okay? We're not doing like modern. Geomancy was used in the Renaissance and Middle Ages, and it's actually older than that, for communicating with spirits or the anima mundi in order to draw conclusions. If you lived in the 17th century, 16th century, and you wanted to do a divination, go to a wizard, okay? Go to a magician to get your, to learn what's going to happen in an event or make a decision, you'd go to a geomancer, okay? Or an astrologer. Geomancers were cheaper. But each day we work through a figure, and here in a minute, I'm going to have you draw your own geomantic figure, okay? So some of y'all may have already done geomancy for years. For those of you that are new to geomancy, by the end of this video, you're going to be a geomancer. I'm going to walk you through the steps. So I want all of y'all to have a paper and pen ready, even if you've been doing geomancy for years. Let's do it together, okay? It'll be a fun experiment. I want everybody to get a pen and paper ready, because here in a moment in this video, I'm going to walk you through drawing a geomantic figure, okay? So by the end of this video, you will be able to call yourself a geomancer. When you finish this video, you'll be able to say, yeah, I'm a geomancer. I've done geomancy before, okay? So I welcome y'all to get a paper and pen if you want to take part in the experiment. Or if you want to take part in kind of like that part of this video, be sure and get a paper and pen. Otherwise, you're missing out. So, today, be sure and get a paper and pen ready. Here we go. All right, so Fortuna Major is what we're going to be working with today. Fortuna Major. So, Fortuna Major is the luckiest geomantic figure in all of geomancy. It is the luckiest figure. Okay. So let me see here. Let's see. May I ask where you acquired the wall hanging behind you? Just Amazon. Rachel says, I don't think I can do geomancy without all the Taliesin prayers or Psalms. Well, Taliesin, or the Book of Psalms, I mean, I don't really see the connection, but if you want to do Psalms for it, then that's fine. But I don't think you have to do Psalms to do geomancy. But it's up to you. Leo, I don't think it's going to hurt you to draw a geomantic figure without Psalms. I think you'll be fine, but it's up to you. If you want to, like, if you feel like you need to do Psalms before it, that's the thing. No one can tell you how to do your practice, okay? Nobody can tell you how to do your practice. That's why spirituality comes from the core of your being. It's at the center of your being, the core of your star. Okay, to use that kind of modern magic terminology, the core of your being, from your core, your center, that is where spirituality is found. So no one else, if something works for you, then it works, okay? So this is what I try to stress with people. Yes, I'm a traditionalist. In many ways, I am a traditionalist, okay? But I am like the most open-minded traditionalist, because while I do kind of stick to the book in many ways, I feel like if something works for you, then that is all there is to it, period. End of story. It works for you. How could anyone else tell you what you can do if something works? And that is why I always stress having a magical record or a magical diary or journal. I call it a magical record. Having a magical record, write down what you're doing and your experience so that you can go back to that. And also any internal, external conditions. Now, I'll talk about Fortuna Major in a second, but I want to stress one thing real quick with y'all. I highly recommend writing down your reading and your interpretation. Why? So that you can fact check your readings. Okay? Let's say you do a geomantic reading every day and you write down your prediction of what you think is going to happen. You're writing down your interpretation. You write down your reading, write down your interpretation. What do you think is going to happen based on this reading? A month or two later, go back and look at what you wrote. Did it come true? Was it accurate? Okay, this is how we are using the method of science, the aim of religion, to use that type of terminology, the method of science, the aim of religion. We're taking kind of a scientific, in a way. I'm not saying this is science. No, I am not saying that. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But I'm saying using sort of a scientific method to something that is spiritual and whimsical, okay? Keep a record. Write down internal, external conditions. Write down what you did. In this case of geomancy, write down your interpretation. What do you think is going to happen based on what you drew? And then 6 months later, go and look at your predictions. Did they come true? Were you accurate? If you were not accurate, then you need to work on your divination skills. If they were not accurate, then there is something wrong. This is how we can fact check ourselves, okay? And this is how we're not going to bullshit ourselves for years. I think some diviners, and this is going to sound like harsh, but some diviners I think may have been bullshitting themselves for decades. And that's just the truth of the situation. I'm not going to lie to people. I'm going to give it like it is as someone that's practiced magic for years, decades. I'm going to, not saying that I have this experience of it being bullshit, but I'm just saying, like, I think some people may have been bullshitting themselves for 20 years doing readings because they haven't been looking at what did they say is going to happen and what actually happened. We need to have a comparison between the two. So anyways, that is my rant about a magical record, writing down the time and date, writing down what you drew, your reading, and write down your interpretation. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is being said to you? Okay? So that later on, you can go back and look at what you said. Besides, if you do a reading and then forget it a day later, then what's the point in doing it to start with? Okay? You need to have a record of what you drew. Now, back to this. Okay? Because this should be like a training. You should gain something from this experience. There should be a progression, a movement. Okay? Magic is not just something that we're supposed to, it's something we need to gain some skills from this that we could say, okay, I studied this a little bit, I gained these skills. Now you can go on and apply it in life. Okay? You learn geomancy, then anytime the rest of your life you want to ask a question, you can see what you draw. Now, it's not saying you're going to base the rest of your life on what you get in a reading. No. Okay, that would be slavish. But just a little extra information. Let's say that it's all bullshit. I don't think it is. I think it's real. But let's say for argument's sake that it's all bullshit. At the very least, it can get the creative mind thinking. It can disengage us from how we're looking at our problems right now. Drawing a figure may get the creative juices flowing where you could think about a problem in a new way. Or how does this affect my life? What is this pattern? Okay, so I do believe in geomancy. I do believe in these things, but I'm talking about even from a purely skeptical, like whatever approach, you could see how a divination, especially once this is ingrained in the subconscious, like a symbolic like system, you can draw these things and you can try to see what you could try to connect the dots. How could this apply in my life? It may help you with some problem solving. But anyways, I highly recommend a magical record and writing down what did you do? What do you think is going to happen? What is your interpretation of your reading so that you could flip back and see what results you got. Okay. So, anyways, back to this. So now we're going to get through this, and then here in a moment, you'll draw a geomantic figure. I'll walk you through it. You're going to walk out of this video a geomancer, every one of y'all. Okay? All right. So today we're talking about Fortuna Major. Fortuna Major is a geomantic figure that is associated with, it's the greater fortune. It is the most fortunate figure in geomancy. Fortuna Major, this is what you want to draw. Okay? It's fortunate, it's wonderful. Fortuna Major, the greater fortune. It is associated with the Sun and Leo. It's associated with the Sun and Leo, and it is victory. Okay? Now, Fortuna Major, each geomantic figure has an internal and external element. The external element always matches the zodiacal sign. So Fortuna Major is the Sun in Leo, and Fortuna Major, again, is success. It's called greater omen, greater fortune. This is like the best figure you could ever draw. It is so lucky. And it's like a big yes to whatever you ask about. It's a wonderful figure. Everyone wants to get this figure in a reading. Fortuna Major or greater fortune, it's Leo in the Sun. Now Leo's a fire sign, so the external element of Fortuna Major is fire. Fire in the sense that it is creative, it is active. Now, the elemental and astrological symbolism all scream success and victory. The Sun is all about shining and success and victory, and Leo, the lion. Okay, and fire. So this is the key word is power. Success. Success is the key word. Success, victory, glory, honor. Okay, Fortuna Major. I hate to draw connections. Like I'm not trying to draw too many connections. I think it should actually be avoided a little bit. But it's interesting that Fortuna Major sounds a lot like the Sun card in tarot. It's victory and success and joy and all of these types of things. Fortuna Major means greater fortune. It's the greater fortune. Okay, Fortuna Major. And the image that it has is the square is supposed to be a valley. And this line is a river, a valley with a river running through it. Okay? So you have a river running through a fertile valley. Okay? But this is solar, though. It's associated with the Sun and Leo. Okay? The Sun and Leo, greater fortune. But yet it is a valley with a river. Now, what we know that it's external or outer. It's outer, like interacting with the things around it. Its outer element is fire, because it's Leo and the Sun. But what is its inner element? The inner element is always one of, usually, except for populace, it's one of the active elements. Now, each geomantic figure is it's either a 2 or a 1. It's like binary. Binary is either off or on. Binary is ones and zeros. Binary is what computers speak, okay? So I'm showing you something here. Geomancy is based on binary. It's either a 2 or a 1. Here we have 2, 2, 1, 1. So it's a binary in 4 levels, okay? Every geomantic figure is like this. I know it sounds complicated, but once you get this down, you'll be able to analyze any geomantic figure. You'll be able to look at any figure and analyze it from this perspective. So we need to understand the 4 lines. So the 4 lines here. So we have the fire. Edgar says everything here is in the Golden Dawn. Not really. Like in a adapted, like changed way. Like the Golden Dawn totally changed the Shem angels. No longer does like Vehuya begin in Aries. It now begins in Leo. For some reason, they want to begin the Shem angels in Leo. The Golden Dawn totally changed Enochian magic. Like unrecognizably changed Enochian magic. Changed the Shem angels. Changed all kinds. Like the Golden Dawn like really changed up magic quite a bit. And also help preserve it and popularize it, okay? But I'm not talking about Golden Dawn magic. I'm talking about classical magic, okay? Like I practice some modern magic too, but I just want to make it clear So Edgar says everything here is in the Golden Dawn. Yeah, but I really wouldn't learn geomancy in the Golden Dawn. Like, I would learn from Agrippa and the classical sources. That's just me personally. I feel like, why would you learn something through a filter of Mathers or something? Why not learn like what the classics had to say, like Agrippa, or like these classical authors from like the 16th century? Why not learn the classical way? Like, why learn from a modern lens? Now, I'm sorry I'm going off on a rant, but like, I don't see anything wrong with modern magic. Like, modern magic is fine, but in my videos, I'm not really approaching it from like a Golden Dawn perspective. So, geomancy. Again, we're looking at like the classical geomancy. So what we have here, we have 4 lines, okay? Every geomantic figure follows this. Every geomantic figure out there has 4 lines. This is the headline. This is the neckline. This is the body line. And this is the feet line. Okay, so, sorry y'all, I'm trying to read questions and do this. I answered the question. Okay, sorry, I'm not seeing all the questions because I'm trying to do both at the same time. I'm kind of new to doing the lives. So every figure has a head, neck, body, and feet lines, okay? Now, in Fortuna Major, the headline has 2. The neckline has 2. The body line has 1. The feet line has 1. So 2, 2, 1, 1. Again, think of this like binary. Another way to look at this is elemental lines. Okay? The top line or headline is also the fire line. Fire. The neckline is also air. The body line is also called the water. Water, and then the feet line is earth. So fire, water, air, earth. Every geomantic figure follows this. So in Fortuna Major here, the headline and fire line has 2. It's inactive. So fire's not active. Even though it's a fire sign, it's Leo. Externally it's fire. Internally it's not fire. Fire's passive. The air line is passive. Now water is active and earth is active. The internal element is actually earth. Just like the valley from which this comes, the valley is earth. Fortuna Major, its internal element is earth. So externally, it is fire. Internally, it is earth. Okay? So Fortuna Major. Externally, it is fire and Leo. Internally is earth. And Fortuna Major is stable. Now, what is important about this? Fortuna Major strength comes from within. That internal earth. Externally, it is fire. It is like power in dealing with the external world. But internally, at the core, it is earth. The strength, the stability comes from within. And that is what is so important about Fortuna Major, or the greater fortune. It's internal strength. Now, the great thing about this is it's success without much effort. Fortuna Major does not take much effort because it is based in an internal strength. Okay? Now, Fortuna Minor, the opposite. Fortuna Minor looks like this. It's upside down. Fortuna Minor is about external power. And it takes more effort. You're externally controlling something. Okay? Through effort. Fortuna Minor is more effortless. It is in the strength, the internal earth, the strength comes from within. And success seems to come without much effort. It just naturally flows. So Fortuna Major doesn't even take much effort or fighting or struggle. It is success that stems from the inner strength, the core of your being. Okay, so there's like a philosophical thing that you can draw from this ancient geomancy. Okay, it's like ancient wisdom. Strength comes from within. When you have that inner strength, and it kind of shows that the outer circumstances are a reflection of the inner life. Okay, and that kind of goes into like, yeah, it's kind of psychological-y sounding, But it goes back to like what the Hermetic adage says, as above, so below, as within, so without. Your outer life and circumstances are a reflection of your internal world. But here you have internal strength in a situation, so you're going to win. You're going to have victory from that inner strength. Okay? So this is Fortuna Major. It is strengthened for those when you do a house chart. If you do a house chart, it is strengthened in the 5th house and weakened in the 11th house. And we're going to get into charts and all of that. If you keep watching these videos, I'm going to have you doing full geomantic charts. We're going to do it together, y'all. Okay? It's a daily activity. We're going to do an activity together, okay? So Fortuna Major, greater fortune. Okay? It is associated with the sun and fire externally. Internally, it's earth. It is associated with the sun and Leo. It is victory, success, glory, and it comes from an inner strength, so it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. Fortuna Major. It's a wonderful figure to have, associated with Leo. Okay? So Fortuna Major. So that is that for today. So now I'm going to try to go through some comments here. So, and today is Friday, right? It's Friday, y'all. Hail to the yeah. Hail to the yeah, it's Friday. Oh yeah, it's Friday, baby. Oh yeah, it's Friday. What y'all got going on? What y'all got going on? Are y'all gonna party? Are y'all gonna go party? I don't party anymore. Y'all gonna go party? Party for me, you know? I'm pretty straight-laced nowadays. Y'all ought to party for me, damn it. Go party for me. Party for Taliesin McKnight. Will you party for Taliesin McKnight today? It's Friday, y'all. Party in my honor, you know? How are y'all doing today? Heavens to the yes. Hell yeah. Can I repeat the elements? Okay, Alejandro says, can I repeat the elements, please? Yes. So every geomantic figure has an outer element and an internal element. So without and within. The external element or outer element is fire. Okay? Fortuna Major outwardly is fire because it's Leo, the sun. It's Leo, the sun. It's fire. Internally, on the inside, it's earth. A lot of times the internal or the inside element of a geomantic figure has nothing to do with its astrological associations. Like Puer is Aries, which is obviously fire. Externally it's fire, but Puer on the inside is air. That has nothing to do with its obvious astrological thing. Okay, so each geomantic figure has an outer element that always agrees with its like sign. Like Puer is Aries, it's fire. Amicio is Taurus, it's earth, okay? Leo, so fire is the external element. Internally, though, which often has nothing to do with its astrological stuff, is earth. Internally, it's earth. And also, maybe this more goes to your question, every figure has 4 elemental lines, which could be a 1 or a 2. A 1 or a 2, okay? The headline is the fire line. The fire line of Fortuna Major is 2. 2 means passive or inactive. It's not active. The element's not active. Fire, even though it's externally fire, internally it's not. Passive fire, passive air. This is the air line. In all geomantic figures, this second line is air. Air is also passive or inactive. This is the water line of any geomantic figure. This is the water line. In Fortuna Major, it's 1. So, water's active. The foot line, the feet line of the feet is also the element of earth. In Fortuna Major, the earth is active. 1. Okay, so we have 2, 2, 1, 1. Passive fire, passive air, passive fire, passive air, active water, active earth. The internal element normally refers to one of the active. It would have a 1, except for populous. Populous has all of them as 2, but its reflective quality of populous makes it water. But here, earth is the internal. structure of Fortuna Major. Even though externally it's fire, because it's Leo and the sun, internally it's earth. Okay? So each day, we're going to go into traditional classical magic and also some modern stuff. You know, I do a lot of astral projection in my personal work and stuff like that. You're welcome, Alejandra. Let me go through these comments. Edgar says, many thanks for your generous elucidation, Taliesin. Sorry to disrupt your flow. Edgar, I apologize if I came off harsh about Golden Dawn. I appreciate the Golden Dawn. I even joined, I've started with the Golden Dawn when I was 21. That'd be a whole story to get into, you know. I still work with Golden Dawn type magic. I still do work with modern lodge magic. I still do it. However, in modern magic, there's so much of a tendency to view everything from the Golden Dawn, and it just covers over the no one even looks at the classical because it covers it, and the idea all of this is in the Golden Dawn. Yes. However, in my videos, I try to focus on the classical approach. I still work with Golden Dawn type magic. I still do it. However, in these videos, they changed a lot of stuff. They changed a lot. And in my videos, I try to focus on the classical way because nobody talks about it, you know? You could find a million articles written about a modern magic approach to things, but I try to look at things in the classical way because classical magic never ended. It never stopped. Classical magic still lives. There are many people that still work in the old way. So it is a tradition, and we are part of that tradition. Okay? We're carrying on the torch from our forebears. We're part of a lineage, in a way. In a way. Maybe there's no magic hand to touch thing, but we're part of a broader tradition. We're still drawing from Agrippa. 500 years later, we're still grappling with the things he had to tell us. All the vast minds through the centuries, through the ages, have created a type of tradition. Now, does that mean we have to follow any element of it? No. We pick and choose. This is the library. This is our ancient Alexandria, basically. I just want people to be able to understand the classical way of things and understand the old way of things. I don't want it to die. I want it to live on. That's kind of what keeps me going, is getting these old things to live on so they won't die out. Anyways, let me see. I'm looking at the comments here. All right, let me see here. So this is Friday, and like Shakespeare, still strong today. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I was going to have some classical music for my intermission. Hell yeah. I like hanging out with y'all. What do you think, y'all? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Uh-oh. 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 That's my jam, y'all. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking. Got that, my jam, y'all. My Baroque music. What do you think, y'all? Hell yeah. Like gin and juice. Not gin and juice. We're doing Baroque. A little Mozart, you know? I don't like that. That one's depressing. I'm going to turn it off. I was going to have a little intermission music, you know? I didn't have an intermission, though. We went all the way through, y'all. All right, I guess that's it for today. This is Friday. Oh, yeah, it's Friday, y'all. It's Friday. Okay, y'all. I just did that in front of thousands of people. It's Friday, y'all. Oh, yeah. And so I'm going to take the weekend off. I might produce something in Spanish. I need to do something in Spanish. Necesito hacer algo en español. Para ustedes, hispanohablantes. On the weekend, I might do a Spanish video. I might just motherfucking upload it to my regular channel, y'all. I don't know. Shall I do it? We'll figure it out. Y'all gonna get mad? Y'all gonna get sore at me if I put a Spanish video on my regular channel? I just don't want to get lots of hate mail, you know? I'm gonna go on there, Taliesin McKnight. What on earth were you doing putting a Spanish video up? I didn't understand a word of it. I'm unsubscribing. Goodbye forever, you know? I'm worried if I put a Spanish video, I'm gonna get like, people get mad at me, you know? Let's see here. Just got here. Wow, this is a long one. Nice. Hi, Ollie. Yep, this is like literally the end. But we covered a lot of ground today. I hope that you take the time to watch, like, you know, watch it, you know. Because I'm about to hit finish. It's going to end. But then there's a whole thing to watch later. Thank you for joining me, even if it is late. Thank you for joining me, y'all. So I'm going to now hit the end thing, and if y'all want to watch what I had to say, you know, you're going to watch it, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a wonder. Happy Friday, y'all. I may possibly, don't quote me on it. If it doesn't happen, don't get mad at me, y'all. I'm going to try to do a Spanish video on the weekends, but for those of you that don't speak Spanish, you may hear what sounds like gibberish coming out, you know? But it's important. I like Spanish. I'm going to do some Spanish videos for y'all. All right, Edgar. I hope you have a wonderful weekend too, Allie. So I may have a Spanish video coming out this weekend. We'll see how it goes. And then Monday, we're going to start a whole new week, y'all. Monday through Friday. I've got these coming out. We're going to start a whole new week. I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday, and we will pick these lessons back up on Monday morning. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, y'all. Feliz fin de semana a ti también, señor. Hasta la próxima, y'all. Have a great day, y'all. See y'all Monday. All right, bye, y'all.